Celine is a death dealer in Underworld, and a death dealer essentially is a vampire that is created to combat the growing werewolf population in that particular movie. So her job is just to protect the coven, but she uncovers a few secrets that causes her to leave that life behind and begin to chase another one more centered on herself than others. Beatrix, also known as the Bride, is an assassin who left her clique, if you want to call them that, her gang, after finding out she was pregnant with her boss's baby, goes away, makes a life for herself. She's discovered later on by her old mates, and then they crash her wedding, kill her husband, beat her half to death. So we meet her waking up in the hospital and vowing to take revenge on every single person present. Imogen. Imogen is a spoiled, I don't know if I'm going to call her an heiress, but she and her brother are the only surviving family of her dad. All in all, she should be rich and she lives like she's rich, but she soon finds out that her brother has been squandering the inheritance, the very large inheritance that her father had left for them. He was spending it foolishly, which was going to leave them in the red. So she takes it upon herself to try and fix the problem by reaching out to the richest man and who she thinks can be manipulated into providing them money by offering her services to help him be accepted into their world because he is not human. These women are what I consider strong female characters. They are diverse, they are well written. Why? Because I believe the writers were more concerned with writing strong characters than creating message boards. Back in 2019, before the COVID lockdown started, I was writing a book for Wattpad, but after a few years of sitting on the story, I wasn't really sure why it wasn't working. I looked at it again and I just figured out that one character didn't sit well with me. And I realized it's because that particular character was written to send a message, my personal message. Think of it as there's something I really want people to know. And so I'm trying to put every thought I have on this particular topic into this character so that anyone that reads the book would know what I think about XYZ through that character. And that made her stand out, but not in the right way. She felt unnatural. All her words and actions were built on the message I was trying to send. In that moment, for the entire book, she stopped being a character and became a medium. She was just a vessel to push my ideas out. And because I made her because of the message, her personality, her attitude, everything was just centered around this message. From 2020, I found it very hard to watch most of the movies and enjoy the female characters because most of them began to feel like message boards and not actual characters. And even worse than that, they all looked the same. They were all carrying the same message, the message of the strong woman. Not that I don't believe in a strong woman or a strong female character, but their writing is all the same. In the past, strength looked different on everyone. Again, not strength only as strength, meaning fighting or arguments or being able to stand up to the wrongdoers, but strength in the foundation of the characters. The Sound of Music, Godless, The Expanse, Black Sails, all had different female characters, all of them possessing different forms of strength that was written and exhibited so wonderfully. Their motivations, their weaknesses, their speech, their positions, everything was diverse and everything was carefully, in my opinion, put together to set each character apart from the other. Some were rich, some were not. Some were fighting against men, some were not. Some were fighting to get freedom. Some were fighting for their voices to be heard because they were minorities. Each and every woman came with different problems, different strengths, different messages. The thing about the message in a character in the past, when I watched things, it felt like they allowed me to pick my own message from what they were trying to put forward. I got to decide what I was getting from a character. But nowadays, they want to tell me what's in the character, and for some reason it creates a disconnect in my mind that just makes me unable to bear watching a few of these movies. Now, most of the movies I watch, the women all look the same. Yes, some may be rich, some may be poor, some may be going against men, some may not, some may be fighting for their freedom, but for some reason, that diversity in character is no longer there. No matter the station they find themselves, they all manage to look the same. In the past, different women in one series or one movie would manage to look different, but recently, with recent movies and series that I'm watching, women written for different series and different movies manage to look exactly the same. I don't even know how it's possible. As soon as I see them, they say a few words, I just know exactly what kind of character they would be. And in my opinion, that is just simply a failure in the writing of a female character. I call this an agenda against women because since 2019, towards the end of 2019 anyway, and the beginning of 2020, I have found it hard to enjoy a female character. The same message was being forced down my throat each and every time. I just knew what I was going to get. The problem began because it started affecting how I viewed women in these movies. When they appeared, I would get defensive, afraid they would sour what had been or what was turning out to be a good watch, which is honestly a terrible thing when actually good female characters show up. And the biggest example of this comes from The Gentleman. When I started watching The Gentleman, when it comes to me, I don't read synopsis or watch trailers because I want to be surprised by what I'm watching. I don't even want the most minute spoilers ever. And no, I never watched the original Gentleman movie. Do not scream or shout or be shocked. When I started watching The Gentleman, I was actually enjoying the story from the beginning where it was revealed that the father left everything to the younger son and the theatrics the older brother was putting forward. I was enjoying the build up to what might be the plot for the story. And then the lady showed up.
I'm Susie Glass.
Susie Glass had been in the shadows during the funeral. I saw her, I spotted her, I didn't think much about it. And then she approached Eddie, telling him who she was and introducing him to what was the plot. But as soon as she introduced herself, I got scared. I was afraid that she was going to be yet another character that was going to be this poor representation of what a strong female character should be. And let me tell you why I don't understand what is not working. Susie Glass is everything a lot of women I consider strong female characters in terms of attitude. For example, she's confident, she's straightforward, she doesn't back down from anyone, male or female. And I have been watching these type of women for years. It's not a new concept that a woman is confident in herself and in her strength and challenging even the opposite sex or even the same sex and standing her ground. But for some reason, the more movies they are making in these recent years, this concept is just not working. I want to chalk it up to the fact that, like I said, they are no longer allowing me notice the strength myself and take away the message. They're trying to force me to see a particular message, but I don't know how you can mess that up so bad that it becomes so evident that is what you're trying to do. But Susie Glass is everything I have seen before. But because of how much movies past 2020 have been pushing this narrative of a strong female character and they all look the same, Susie scared me. I thought, oh my god, I was just enjoying the show and here they come with this. This is going to be another. She absolutely was a strong female character and absolutely nothing like the other movies and series that butchered such behavior. In fact, by the time she got to the estate speech, a speech I would have found horrific coming from any of these other women that I have watched, I have watched that scene over and over again, and every line she says, I'm just saying yes. Because I feel like when they created her story, they were creating an actual character that just happened to be female. I don't even know how to say what they wrote her character to be. She was tough. She did the things I would honestly just roll my eyes coming from any other person that I have watched in some movies, but it worked. And I want to feel like it's because she wasn't created as a message. She was created as a character in a story that they wanted to be interesting and complex, and I loved every second of it. And it also made me realize just how much I have started to dislike seeing women on TV. which should not be happening. I should not see a woman on TV and become afraid that this woman is going to ruin my experience. But it happens. I'm not proud to say it, but it happens because I reflexively just think of all the other ways they have used a female character to wreck what should be a good thing in the name of calling this female character a strong female character. Susie Glass is not the only exception. There are many movies and TV shows that have saved me from the bad writing of women, but they have also opened my eyes to the fact that in the past, movies, from my view, used to leave the messages for me to figure out. I've said that before. Nowadays, the message is created first, the same message, and that is what pisses me off. It's not just the whole strong female character, it's that they're all saying the exact same thing, and then the characters are built around that message. It honestly steals diversity from women rather than enhance, because it seems all of these writers have a singular notion of what strength means, and they spit out the same character over and over again, giving them a different name, maybe different social status, but they all manage to look like twin sisters each and every time. Another example I can give of diversity with women comes from The Expanse. The Expanse hosted a wide range of women, yet none of them felt alike. Each were wonderfully different from the other. They all had different problems, they all had different ways they would tackle it, they all had different flaws, they all had different strengths. Each and every of them managed to be strong in their own way. That's why I'm talking about foundation. For example, you would not confuse the strength of Avasarala for that of Naomi or that of Bobby, because they were not just trying to push a message. The message was embodied in them for me to figure out, and they were just characters living on the script. They didn't stand out nor feel unnatural because the story was built as a story and the message was left for me. The same goes for Black Sails. Black Sails had so many women, and each and every one of them in that same show managed to have different outlooks on how to approach a particular problem, yet they were all strong female characters. I don't want to offend anyone with my examples of shows I didn't like, so I'm apologizing now, but I'm going to use She-Hulk as my example of what I find bad about how women are being written right now. The character She-Hulk managed to look like a lot of other female characters that have come out in different movies and different TV shows from different years. Yet, in Orphan Black, another show done by the actress Tatiana, she played multiple characters with the same face, yet she managed to have different aspirations, different goals, different strengths in one series. She had the same face, but the writing made her character, each and every one of them, managed to stand out in the series. But in She-Hulk, she looked like someone I've seen in another movie. I don't know if you're getting the full picture yet as to why it's pissing me off. It feels like women are being stripped. We are being stripped of any diversity, and we are being represented by one-note characters that only have the same thing to say over and over again. The biggest example I can give is Lord of the Rings. I watched Lord of the Rings when I was very young, and I'm talking Silverbird TV was showing. I think it was even the third movie that I caught, I'm not sure, but I watched it, forgot about it, and years later, I started watching Rings of Power. I was getting into fantasy because of Carnival Row and Shadow and Bone, so I thought, okay, Rings of Power is up next, and there I met Galadriel. Galadriel is the exact same strong female character that I loathe. I honestly have come to dislike it, and she was the exact same thing. But I didn't realize how bad it was until I stumbled across a video that was comparing Galadriel in Rings of Power to Galadriel in Lord of the Rings, and my goodness, Galadriel was stripped of her diversity and made literally to fit in with mere mortals. It was honestly appalling. I watched the side-by-side video and I couldn't help but think to myself, why did they make the choice to make Galadriel this? Of all things, did she have to put on armor and go fighting with a sword? Galadriel was dimmed to make her into someone that looked like everyone. Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings movies was graceful, wise, beautiful, kind, powerful. She's an elf, a royal one if I am remembering correctly, and all in all just magical. She always had these glowing lights following her. I think it's because the elves were seen as just beautiful creatures. They had to make her look ethereal in every scene, and she did. Why anyone would see such a representation and decide they want to make a TV show with hour-long episodes focused heavily on Galadriel and decide to make her a common character is beyond me. Don't get me wrong, I know Galadriel in the TV show still had her powers and attributes, I think to an extent, but I couldn't feel the elf in her no matter how many times they bathed her in sunlight and glowing everything. It just was not there. She looks and sounds like a lot of so-called strong female characters from different movies and television. Can Galadriel not carry a show with who she was in the original movie and even in the books? Is that what they were trying to say? She was made a warrior jumping into battles because the other version was what? Boring?
If you try to stop me, I will destroy you.
If they wanted to make a story about her in her younger years, which by the way, she is 5,000 years old in the TV show, unless my information is wrong, that is not too far from how old she was in the movie, which I learned was about 8,000. That's a 3,000 year difference. Couldn't they have kept everything else and maybe just make some changes to her? If you want to make her impulsive, fine. Maybe she's not as calm or as wise, but fiery and wild. Her reactions can be explosive, which is basically what they did in the show. But like I said, the reason I am not quick to criticize all these strong female characters is that I honestly don't know what is not working. Galadriel being pig-headed and impulsive and wanting to be right all the time in the show, honestly speaking, is not the problem for me. It's how she's portrayed. So how about, despite her impulsiveness, despite her pig-headedness, Galadriel still has her kindness and everything else she had in the movie and the books, but maybe just not as calm and just not as wise. And the impulsiveness could lead her to reacting to something or using her powers in a way that is so devastating that it influences her to change to who she was in the movies, which is someone who is more in control. All of this, of course, will be happening in whatever adventure a competent writer chooses for the show. The actress was beautiful. I don't care what anyone has to say. Yes, I know some of her facial expressions were not the best, but I think the actress was beautiful. So I would have loved to see them lean into that more. She was an elf, for the love of cinema. That is their whole thing, to look pretty. I know Galadriel in the books. I haven't read them. Don't eat me alive, but I heard once somewhere that she was also a warrior, seen as Amazonian or something, but that was never equated to armor and a sword. I thought it was mostly like her build. Maybe she was tall, she was fit, those kind of things. And yes, they also mentioned that she led some people into war in the past. Still, I don't think it had to equate to armor and steel because this woman had powers. Maleficent, another powerful creature, when she was facing the king, he would come to attack the Moors and she would fight him. She was leading the war. She was leading the army. She didn't have to put on armor or hold a sword to be in the battle. She decimated them. That's what I mean by, yes, even though in the books I think it was mentioned that she led wars, it did not mean you had to put this woman in armor. In the show, they just forgot that, shoving her in armor and smearing her in mud instead of donning her in silk and using her powers. At some point in not too far history, strong female characters all had to be this. This was all they saw. So why not? Why not reduce this queen to a commoner? And they think, yeah, this is definitely a strong woman because oh no, she can't be anything else. Calm, serene, ethereal, not a strong woman. Armor, sweat, mud, anger, that's what we're talking about.
I'm sorry, I don't like beating a dead horse, but the horse killed my family and I'm vengeful.
In Lord of the Rings, she was such a fantastic character. It hurt even more that she was made into this one-note strong woman. What was so wrong with who she was originally that you thought in making a prequel you had to make her this? What was so unrich, if that is even a word, about her story that you thought to make it richer, this would be the path you would take? Even more so, Rings of Power faced a problem that seems very, very prevalent in many recent journeys of creating our beautifully strong female characters. And that is, their male counterparts are being made out to be weak, dumb, misogynistic, or useless, all at once or with a few of those characteristics mixed together. It's like the female stands out as the strongest while the men cower. She fights the battles, she goes in headstrong, while the men sit back and ponder about their strength. The men are being beaten left and right, and Galadriel steps up to show how it's done. It creates a narrative, honestly speaking, as a viewer and a woman. It creates a narrative that a woman cannot be strong unless the men around her are incompetent fools. Don't get me wrong, there are some men out there that are incompetent fools, misogynistic, and everything I mentioned before. But this is honestly a recurring thing in a lot of these so-called strong female characters that I hate. It creates the narrative, a very insulting narrative that they confuse as empowering, that for a female character to shine, the male character has to be dim, and I find it honestly very distasteful. In Rings of Power, Galadriel is shown charging into battle while the men cower. She can sense the impending dangers while the men are perfectly fine living in La La Land. Not just Galadriel, by the way, but most of the women in this show were paired with incompetent husbands or partners, and this has become a common thing in movies and TV shows, especially when women are the center of the story, which is honestly a criminal act against us. Somebody needs to be in jail. In comparison, let's look at Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings had a range of male characters from elves to men and hobbits. These men interacted with the women, and on no occasion were the men reduced to bumbling idiots to make the women stand out. Whether they were villains or heroes or normal men, the foundations for the characters, both male and female, were so strong that each could share a room without cost to one party. The women were strong, outspoken, all to shine in their own roles. And the women's light were not dimmed because the men had all this story behind them. The women had their own foundations that they stood on and managed to shine in spite of their male characters, beside their male characters, more than the male characters, without making the male character a bumbling idiot or a fool that could not do anything without the woman saying something. Why is it that such writing is being replaced by such mediocre thoughts that makes most men around the so-called strong female bumbling, dependent idiots that the female lead can step on and step over and criticize as they are already written to be beneath them? A less fantasy-driven example comes from Aquila and the Bee. Aquila is shown to be a competent contestant in this international spelling bee. Her biggest challenge comes in the form of another contestant named Dylan. He had been in more championships than she had and was more confident in himself, almost to the point of being cocky. But Aquila is not ready to step down. She believes in herself. She is sure that with enough effort she is going to win. But the day of the competition comes and she sees something happen with Dylan and his father. Think about the Boondocks. When Huey was joining that kickball tournament and he thought if he won, Ming was going to be sent to some kind of camp and live a tortured life, so he decides to throw the match to save her before he found out obviously that she was lying. The same thing happened in Aquila and the Bee. She overhears Dylan's father pressuring him, and because of that she decides to throw the spelling bee by misspelling a word that Dylan knows that she knows, because if I'm correct, it's a word that he taught her how to spell correctly.
Xanthosis? It starts with an X.
He notices what she's doing, and when it's his turn to spell, he spells the wrong word. And he meets her face to face and tells her that he's not here for her pity, he's not here for her to look out for him, he's here for a competition, he wants a challenge. In the end, they both went home as co-champions. That is a story that didn't have to diminish the guy, making him some kind of incompetent misogynist that looks down on women when obviously they are better than him. I am not saying they don't exist. I feel like I have to keep putting this on. They do. But it just gets jarring when most of the time when they want to write a strong female character, I don't know if the writer thinks it's impossible for a man to be on her level. They are usually writing the men they put around them to be incompetent just so the lady can step all over them and show them who was boss. You can show a man who is smart, who is boss, without making him a fool. That's just my personal opinion. In Banshee, for those who haven't watched Banshee had female characters that carried their roles despite having equally challenging male characters. Women fought with men constantly, verbally, physically, brutally, and it never felt like the genre of the strong female archetype that they are trying to sell to me now. Those fights, those arguments, those conversations, the dialogue all felt natural. The men in that show did not have to be reduced to fools for the women to stand out. I guess the point I'm trying to make in this video is what is in those women that they are everything this so-called strong female character writers are trying to get across, but they are not failing. What is it that I'm not seeing? What is it that the writers are not seeing? Or is it just me? Those, I feel, are stories that respect women. Stories like The Gentleman, Star Trek, The Expanse, Outlander, Gangs of London. I can go on and on because yes, even after 2020 when they were disappointing me with the amount of movies that had women looking the same, I was so blessed once in a while to find things that didn't fall into this niche. Those stories deserve to be heard, seen, and known because they honestly respect what a female character is. When the story and the character come first, the writing is always uplifting for women and the audience, me. The strength of a female character isn't how many arguments she wins over the other characters, but from solid foundation of just being a good character. Even villains can be considered good characters simply because of how well their motivations, strengths, and flaws are presented in writing and portrayal. Honestly, this is last and what I hope will be the shortest complaint I have. But I fear romance doesn't flow well in these movies and TV shows that are strong female-centered. I hate to say it, but it usually looks like the writers hate to write it in. They either hate to write it in, don't know how to write it in, or want to put it there for the sake of gaining whatever audience cares for romance, like me. Let me just put it out there that it is not always needed. Kill Bill stands as my best reference, but I gravitate more towards movies and TV shows that have romance in them. Even if I go in not expecting it, if it's present, I enjoy it. Because most of the ones I've watched in the past, and thank goodness even recently, have been very interesting. It's become very disappointing to see it treated as something that makes a woman weak or takes away from her story, or is just tossed in for the sake of it. Let's look at Black Sails. Anne's love for Jack in Black Sails did nothing to affect her as a competent female character. She fought for him in many instances, usually rushing to his aid when it looked like he might need her help. They went through turmoils, they had ups and downs, but when it came to Jack, Anne did not play.
For the moment she realized that Jack was not there, she would attempt to kill anyone she deemed responsible. 8. You could have sent 1,000 men, it would not have deterred her.
That was her man. If you tried anything, she was ready to get you, and the same for Jack. If you did anything to Anne, Jack would like to have words with you. And that was a beautiful relationship, one I didn't expect to love as much as I did. Love stories were so well handled in the past that whether they were the main focus or just an addition to the story, it still managed to be very engaging. I followed couples that loved each other through ups and downs, standing for each other through dangers, rights and wrongs. Saw love stories that came from unplanned connections and covered with lies that became the cause of distrust and unreliance between two people who were getting to know and care for each other.
I needed to be here, but then I wanted to be here. It's killing me to know that you'll never believe that.
Saw women who bravely went against code and prejudices, abandoned the life they were grown into to chase a new one with the men that they had fallen in love with.
This is not the way that I thought things were going to go down.
They're human, the way you are.
If any of these stories were to be written today, how vastly different do you think these women's choices would be represented? How many do you think would be seen as bad representations of a woman and written differently by authors? I don't even want to touch on what is going on with Disney and their stories of late. When it comes to romance, just as with this new genre that is being created of the strong female character, romance is also diverse. Romance has its bad and its good, its ups and its downs. It all comes to the writing to make it enjoyable on a story that you can follow. Romance can be fun, daring, dangerous, empowering, and even defeating. Writers weren't writing themselves into a single replicating corner when it came to these things. It felt like they explored more, they cared more, they showed different angles, and now it's just one boring angle that we are left to chew on over and over again. Eating the same thing over and over again gets boring, stale, and unnecessary. But thankfully, not everything has been a bitter pill to swallow. The last few years, The Gentleman, The Gilded Age, The Blue-Eyed Samurai, Which, by the way, this is such a diversion. The Blue-Eyed Samurai is such a discovery for me because I stopped watching the first episode a few minutes in. I wasn't really in the mood for a cocky character, which was what it looked like to me when Mizu was confronting the human trafficker. I just thought to myself, not today, just not today. Only for me to finally be bored enough to go back. And at the end, it's revealed that the Blue-Eyed Samurai, the Unreal, is a woman. I was so stunned. She felt so good as a character. I found myself so pissed that I didn't find this series by the time season 2 was out, which meant I had to wait, and I am currently still waiting for season 2. She was a lot of what these movies and TV shows portray, yet she managed to also be nothing like them. So yeah, it's not all been a bitter pill to swallow. What I want to say to end this video is that women are diverse characters. We have diverse strengths, come in different forms, faces, and those differences should be celebrated instead of shoving us into one single note category. Shoving us into one category is failing the female character and tearing down what could or should be fantastic foundations to create one-note structures that regurgitate the same character over and over. Thank you all for listening. Drop your comments on what you think, if you agree or if you don't. If you have examples of your own to share, please do, and I will see you guys on the next one.